back to the Metro on WDET, Detroit Public Radio. I'm Robin Vincent. Since she entered the Detroit mayoral race, Mary Sheffield has been viewed as a strong candidate. According to recent polling, that sentiment hasn't changed much. She's now leading the charge in front of Reverend Solomon Kinloch and former Detroit Police Chief James Craig. The Detroit City Council president has done this in part by gaining favor from young people and from big-name Detroit rappers like Sada Baby and Skilla Baby. They've appeared at her annual Occupy the Corner events. Detroit rapper Big Sean has even given her a shout-out.
Boy, that ain't a deal if you ain't get the best deal. Might just run for mayor for real, put that on Mary Sheffield.
The millennial candidate is very social media savvy herself. Unlike other candidates or almost anyone else in Detroit politics, she often uses TikTok and Instagram to connect with residents.
This year, my wish is bigger than me. My wish is for Detroit where communities are safe, housing is affordable, neighborhoods are vibrant, our school system is strong, transportation is accessible, and there is good paying jobs and opportunity within reach for every Detroiter. Together, we can make my wish come true.
Okay, so I think we've established that Sheffield is popular and she seems to be everywhere. But what does she stand for? To answer this question, we have the mayoral candidate and council president here with us. Council President Sheffield, thanks for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the introduction. Thank you.
Oh, shout out to producer Sam Corey on that one. Tell me, why are you running for mayor?
Well, I'm running for mayor because I love Detroit. I love the city, born and raised, daughter of Detroit. And I see both the pain and the potential of our city. And while we've made tremendous progress in Detroit over the last decade, while I've served on the city council working alongside Mayor Duggan, we know that there's still far too many issues. There's still too many families that are just surviving and not thriving. There's still too many neighborhoods that do not feel the benefit and the growth of the revitalization of our city. Our small businesses still need support. Education still needs to be improved. And there's still more work that needs to be done. And someone who has served Detroit the last 12 years, I bring experience. I bring a record of delivering for Detroit. And I believe that I am ready, capable, and experienced to take our city to the next level so that we can create a city of opportunity for all of our residents.
I want to dig into the words that you just used to describe Detroit, the pain and promise. Mm-hmm. Over the last decade, there are a lot of changes that have happened in Detroit. This is some of the promise, right? Police and firefighting response times have improved. Blight has been removed. Investment has come to downtown and to certain other nearby neighborhoods. Now let's get into the pain. What are the biggest issues that are left undone?
Yeah, I think for me, again, when you go into areas of our neighborhoods and you see the disinvestment, you see families who are still struggling in homes that are dilapidated and seniors who have been in their homes 30, 40 years and are still in need of home repairs to fix their homes. You see small businesses that are trying to get access to capital and to improve their overall businesses. In our educational system, it bothers me to know that we have so many of our young people who are facing homelessness within the school system, that we have families here that either leave or don't come to Detroit because the quality of our education and the condition of our neighborhoods. And so that is some of the pain that I still see. I mean, some of the pain also is the recent gun violence. I mean, we still have too many young people that are losing their life to senseless gun violence throughout the city of Detroit. And so we still have much more work to do. While the data shows that crime is down, if people don't feel safe, it means absolutely nothing. And every time we lose a child in this city, it's so much pain because we know we're losing the potential of Detroit. And so that is the pain that I still see, the oneness that I know Detroit is, so that there's not this idea or perception that there's two Detroits, but there really is one city. But I think we have a lot of work to do to ensure that that perception is changed.
What's the most prevalent issue you're hearing from residents And talk to me about how you're working to address it, because you're known for being a good listener and for going back and asking people to clarify the problems that they're facing.
Yeah, I honestly think it really depends on where you are in Detroit and the type of resident. I mean, I think there's so many different issues, and it really depends on who you're talking to. If it's a youth, if it's a senior, if it's someone who just moved to Detroit, there are so many different issues. But I would say overall, what I mostly have heard is that residents want an increased quality of life. And that is the area of housing, the area of education, our neighborhoods, public safety, mass transit, and ensuring that we have good paying jobs and are actually building our middle class here in the city of Detroit. And really, that is what my campaign is all about. It's how can we ensure that we are increasing the quality of life for our residents and ensuring that we're creating a city of opportunity where everyone can have their dreams realized and their potential fulfilled right here in the city of Detroit. We want to be able to attract and keep our young people here, our talent here. We want to be able to keep generational Detroiters, those that have been in their homes 30, 40 years, because when development comes and economic opportunities come, it does not have to mean displacement. We have a big enough city where all of us can survive and coexist and thrive here in Detroit. And so my objective is to increase the quality of life for all of our residents.
But that can come at It can come at a cost. It can be a place of real tension. You've said that you want to continue to meet with our philanthropic and corporate supporters. What do you mean by that? And how do you balance out then the needs of residents with working with those philanthropic and corporate supporters?
Yeah, well, we know that in order for Detroit to thrive and for us to meet the various needs and priorities of our residents, we have to have strong public-private partnerships. There's no doubt that we cannot address the need for home repairs, housing, affordable housing, business support without leaning towards our private sector. And so I am going to be continuing to engage to ensure that we have strong public-private partnerships that address the needs of our residents. I've done it serving on the council, very proud of my work. For example, Right to Counsel that has kept families in their homes who were facing eviction now have access to a free attorney. That was a public-private partnership. We worked with the Gilbert Foundation. They put money into that program to ensure that we had adequate funding for this program. We will continue to do the same thing around issues that are definitely helping to increase the quality of life for our residents.
But we know the overarching issue right now is that, and these are your words, that the climate has changed.
Yes.
And by that, you mean the political climate, obviously.
Yeah.
And you said this was during the mayoral debate at the Mackinac Policy Conference. You said we must bring in new revenue to Detroit to fund the myriad programs and priorities we have. How?
Yeah, so for me, we're laying the foundation now by starting comprehensive studies around what that looks like. I don't think there's going to be one single answer. I think there will be multiple tools that we can utilize that will help bring in additional revenue to Detroit. And we will have the best economists and experts who can do the thorough research that is needed to ensure that we know what would have the biggest bang, that can bring in the most revenue to Detroit, but most importantly, that would not be a burden on our residents. We know right now our residents are overtaxed. They are already suffering, right, from a high cost of living. So we don't want to do anything that is detrimental to our residents. But we do have to start to explore different ways that we can bring revenue into the city of Detroit. And so whether it's a local sales option tax, a half-penny tax that has been used in Columbus, Ohio, that has gained over $200 million in revenue that they've used for infrastructure and transit. I mean, these are things that we must explore. And as mayor, we will have a position within the mayor's office whose main responsibility is to grow our revenue and to grow our population. I do not believe that we can tax our way out of anything, right? I just think that that's one tool to have in the toolbox. But overall, we want to continue to increase our population. We want to continue to provide good paying jobs, because when that happens, we get revenue back to Detroit through property tax and income tax. And so that's the foundation and the most important thing. But we do have to begin to at least explore different ways to bring revenue here to the city of Detroit.
I want to stay on the political climate for a moment and get into a little bit more of the specifics. So Mayor Mike Duggan had a good relationship with President Biden. Detroit received hundreds of millions in federal funding during his presidency, the majority for housing and flooding prevention, but also electric vehicle infrastructure. Now, President Trump has had very public disagreements and power struggles with mayors in Democratic strongholds. I'm thinking about Los Angeles and Chicago, for example. Are you going to pursue a working relationship with President Trump?
Yeah, I think my number one goal and my responsibility as mayor is to, one, improve the quality of life for this entire city. And secondly, is to bring resources back to Detroit that will help move this city forward. And it is my job to work with everyone to find common interests and to ensure that we're moving the city forward in a positive direction. And so while I may not be a fan or a supporter of the person in the office, I do understand that I have to work across the aisle to get things done to ensure that we're bringing resources back to Detroit. I've worked under a previous Trump administration. I know this is a bit different than what we've seen in the past, but I am prepared. And I have also worked with bipartisan support to get things done in the past, and will do that serving as mayor.
What if a good relationship with Trump means cooperation with him on some of his very aggressive immigration enforcement, which includes, let's say assisting ICE with deportations and detentions? We know that's a point of tension we've seen with President Trump and other mayors. Where do you stand on that? Yeah,
so I do not support using any city funding or support in resources towards assisting the federal government with any ICE operations within the city of Detroit. And working with him to find common ground does not mean compromising any of my values or any of the values of our city here in the city of Detroit. And so I would never compromise what is right just to work with someone. But if there is a way for us to find a common ground to be able to bring funding back to Detroit for some issue, whether it's manufacturing or infrastructure, something that we all can agree on and support in Detroit, I will be definitely advocating for that funding to come back to the city, but not in compromising in any way the values and the safety of the residents here in the city of Detroit. Not all.
This is the Metro on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent. We're talking with Detroit City Council President and mayoral candidate, Mary Sheffield. Now, you've said you want to invest in the neighborhoods, and we know this is something that's on residents' minds and it's on candidates' minds. But there is this tension between support from philanthropy and helping out the neighborhoods. So talk a little bit specifically about how to balance that. We were talking earlier about balancing that tension.
So I personally don't believe that there's much tension between philanthropy and the private sector and neighborhoods. I think most private entities in Detroit understand that in order for them to thrive, in order for Detroit to thrive, our neighborhoods must be next. And so I actually don't see much tension between the two. Business needs people, right? And people need business in order for both to thrive. And so we have to have strong neighborhoods in order for people to be strong. They have to have good communities, a good foundation, great jobs in order for them to support our private sector and our businesses in Detroit. And so to me, I think it's a win-win for all of us. And I don't really see it as a competing interest. It's about a shared goal and a shared vision for Detroit, which I believe we all can see and all know that our neighborhoods have to be next. And so I will begin to target investment, offering incentives, and prioritizing commercial corridors in our neighborhoods to begin to market more development within our inner city communities.
But the argument has been made, what happens when there are only a few, let's say, philanthropists that own a lot of property in Detroit, which is somewhat of the case right now? And what happens when this falls into the hands of bad philanthropists, let's say?
Yeah, so I think for me, number one, we always want to prioritize as much Detroit-based businesses in support of local entrepreneurs and developers in this city. And a part of our neighborhood plan will prioritize and give preference to existing Detroit-based businesses and developers to be able to redevelop our communities. And we also have to look at a track record, right? If we're not going to do business with people who are not, and developers who are not good actors here in the city of Detroit, we have to hold them accountable, ensure that there is a return on our investment, that they are hiring Detroiters, that they are contributing to our workforce development efforts, and that they are good actors here in the city of Detroit. And no one person should be able to capitalize on redeveloping this next phase in Detroit, which is our neighborhoods. And so it should be a fair and open process. But we should always try to incentivize and give preference and more equalization credits through the bidding process to those who are Detroit-based, Detroit headquartered here in the city of Detroit.
City Council President Sheffield, I want to, for a moment, reflect on your background, on your personal background. You're steeped in politics and the Black church, and you have been your whole life. You're the daughter of Reverend Horace Sheffield III, the leader of the Detroit Association of Black Organizations, and the granddaughter of Horace Sheffield Jr., a famous Black union leader. That leadership seemed to carry over to you, where you preached your first sermon at 14 and became the youngest person to be elected to Detroit City Council at 26. In other words, you've been in politics for a long time. How do you understand what politics is and the possibility of what politics can do?
Well, I'm reminded daily, every time I'm at the council table and I pass an ordinance that is directly improving the quality of life for our residents, I'm reminded how important it is that we have the right leadership in place, because all politics are local. And if you don't change policy, policy will change you. And so as a policy maker this last 12 years, creating programs like the Affordable Housing Ordinance, the Inclusionary Housing, Right to Counsel, the Neighborhood Improvement Fund, all of these things I have directly seen and witnessed change the lives of Detroiters, has always reminded me the importance of politics and the importance of elected representation on a local government. I am always inspired by just the love that Detroiters have here in the city of Detroit for their city, their profound love for Detroit, their commitment to the betterment of this city. And I just think it's important that we have someone that's connected with people, that is connected with community, that understands the values of everyday working people and centers that as we move forward here in Detroit.
Speaking of Detroit love, you stayed in Detroit after graduating college. That's a time when a lot of people leave.
Yeah.
So how do you attract young people to the city, and how do you keep young residents from leaving?
So for me, it's opportunity. Young people want opportunity. They want to be able to make their dreams a reality in Detroit, pursue their purpose here. And so we have to have great paying jobs. We have to have good schools. We have to have great housing and neighborhoods. It is going to be an environment that we have to cultivate and foster for our young people to be here. Jobs not just of today, but of tomorrow, that will attract young people to this city. And there's a perception, there's a culture that has to be shifted, that Detroit is, right, a world-class city, that we're just as good as a Miami or a DC or Chicago. And I think we also have to invest a lot more in regional transportation, which I hear a lot from our young people who go to other major cities, is that we're a little bit behind in our transportation. So that's very important that we invest in that as well. But it's going to be about opportunity. Young people leave for great jobs. They leave for opportunity that they didn't find here in Detroit. And so with the more that we can provide those great careers, great opportunity here in Detroit, I believe our young people will stay.
Let's think about even younger people, because Detroit students are struggling. Detroit Public Schools Community District has shown improvements in some areas, including teacher retention, but the district still lags far behind the state in reading and math, and it has a really high rate of chronic absenteeism, and we know that is due to a lot of systemic issues like transportation and access to health care, for example. Now, the mayor does not directly handle the schools, and we know the trauma that endures from when there was mayoral control. But education is an important part of the equation
most definitely
for Detroit's future. perhaps the most important part. So how do you plan to address this?
Yeah, so I will be a champion of education and really working as a partner with the superintendent and the school board to ensure that we're addressing the gaps that our young people have. First and foremost, we know that after-school programming must be increased. After-school programming, it was something that really was near and dear to my heart as a young people. It kept me out of trouble, and it also allowed me the one-on-one attention that I need to improve my overall academics. And so my goal and vision is to have after-school programming within a 2-mile radius of every single school throughout Detroit to allow that individualized learning and support that our young people need. We're also going to work with the school system to better improve the routes to and from school. So our transportation system, which we continue to hear suffers and also prevents a lot of young people from showing up to school as well.
There are a lot of unsafe routes that kids are taking to get to school.
Yeah, and that will prevent a young child, right, from going to school. And so we're going to continue to work to improve upon that. We're also going to create a community education commission. The mayor currently has one in place, but we will either build upon that or create an additional one. And that commission will bring DPSCD and charter together to better measure the outcomes of our youth, focusing in on some of the social determinants that are preventing our young people and our parents from being successful. And so whether that's mental health, whether that's job training, whether that's, housing, transportation, we want to be a better partner to support both the families and the students to being successful within DPSCD and charter.
Detroit City Council President and mayoral candidate Mary Sheffield, thank you for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Metro has spoken to all but one of Detroit's mayoral candidates. You can listen to each of the conversations on the Metro at WDET.org and on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Our annual listener survey is out now, and your responses inform the way we produce the Metro. Let us know how we're doing. Go to WDET.org/survey. Coming up on the Metro, is it time to redefine Black power? We'll discuss. That's next on the Metro here on WDET. This is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. And this is the Metro. Stay with us.